anyway.
All right. I know. Why are you sharing now?
I don't
It's
know.
not just for me. You have to share for all.
Do I?
Yes. That's the point. Sometimes we come up with something. It's important in some way. It might be good for us. Might be knowledge that needs to be pointed out, and therefore people can, act accordingly once they recognize what's going on. Sometimes it's life, confirming or affirming.
And
all right, are you ready?
I suppose. I guess
you're just going to have to do it because there's nothing better that's going to happen by you delaying and continuing to read shit that you're not telling me.
Okay, say the magic words.
Press the button, G.
So nice.
Yeah, it is.
Greetings. This is the Long in the Boot podcast. The podcast coming to you from the heel of the boot of Southwest Louisiana. I'm your host, G Long. Sitting across the way, as always, is Deb.
Hi, as always.
As always.
As always, over here.
Yeah, don't ever stop.
Well, nature says that'll have to happen. Already?
Sorry, I have just a tiny bit of a thing happening. It started, I don't know, it started like a couple hours after I woke up.
All right. Well,
it's the very weirdest thing.
That. It's Sunday.
If you'd like to, give us a call at 337-901. Wait, time out.
Back it up.
Redo. If you'd like to give us a call at the Long in the Boot Studios, the number is 337-502-9011. You can reach us also at longintheboot@gmail.com. And we have a website, of course, at longintheboot.com. And there.
Multiple ways.
Did you like that rewind?
I did. I like that. Back it up.
Yeah, yeah.
I back that shit up all the time.
Back it up, baby.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
so
now that you backed up, I got to restart.
Is it what's happening?
It's the holiday season.
Oh, it is.
It is. I know it's warm and humid outside, even though I'm sitting here wrapped up because you wanted to turn the AC and some fans on or something.
God, it was so hot.
Oh, but it's cold in the studio, people. It was
like 73 degrees.
Oh my God.
Okay,
well,
that's I don't even know.
That's the holiday
that's
season.
People who live on the sun
in Louisiana. Yeah, that's why I live in the South, buddy.
But I hate having to turn on the AC this time of year.
I know.
And I'd like to do it with fans, but I couldn't hack it today.
It's just you're angry about having to.
Angry about so many things.
Angry.
Just pure, just seething.
I feel it. I get the sense of it. The sense of society of all of the world, actually.
You could light a cigarette off my head.
There's just some tension, that's all. Okay, so it's almost Christmas.
It is.
So we had to come up with a topic, and I did. And normally I tell you where I got the topic idea and how it evolved.
Right.
But I'm going to save my origin of the topic today for the end because it's positive, but where it led was not positive, and I don't want to leave our community with negative things. So we'll save my what got me started on today's topic.
Well, wait a minute. What did get you started, dear?
It was a conversation in one of my classes about Elf on the Shelf or on a Shelf.
Well, explain that first.
Well, my kids
don't explain what it is. I think
no, I don't need to give that to them because they all have that. It's a new tradition. It just started with my kids asking me about Christmas with my kids, and I was like, well, no, we didn't do Elf on a Shelf. I don't do it because my kids are in their 30s. Oh, wait, but when they were young, no, because it didn't exist when they were young, and they were surprised because in their mind, because it's all they've ever known. It's about as old as a Christmas tree in the tradition for them.
And we've helped somebody this week or last week, this past week, do something so that they could engage in the, Elf on a Shelf.
Oh, that's
deception.
true. I forgot about that little.
Which is Which is what it is.
It was delightful.
It's a horrible deception.
I enjoyed.
How dare we lie to our children?
I enjoyed helping a father lie to his child.
That's right.
Who then took pictures with her cell phone and sent them to her mommy so she could see the deception that lay on the floor.
And
anyhow, yes.
but then we've talked about Christmas celebrations
so
on
that was it. I looked
past
it up.
Christmases.
2005 was the date that it actually originated and burst into the
Elf on a Shelf.
Yeah, American, traditionals.
Yeah.
And so I started talking about it was about tradition.
So just a few hours after this podcast began, Elf on a Shelf premiered. It's what you're saying.
We have not been doing this since 2005.
Oh, I think we have.
What the hell is wrong with you? All right. So that just led to, traditions. And we began talking about one of the most famous
we've
traditions.
talked about Christmas traditions in the past.
We have, but they have all been legit. And so
as legit as a Christmas tradition can be.
This one's not. It's not that it's not legit.
It is legit.
It's just more modern.
No, it's legit now.
It is. That's what I'm saying. It's just more modern, like Elf on a Shelf. We've come to accept it.
What I was shocked by was the number of people who don't
practice this?
Know about this tradition.
I was, and then I had to think about...
This long and storied tradition.
I had to think about the origins and realize that generation, the new people don't know.
Well, they don't know a lot.
Because they never watched it. So
they also don't have commonalities.
No, like we did, because in our time there was so little entertainment that you had to. We all centered around what was there, so that when we went to school on Monday, we all talked about the Saturday Night Live.
Well, even later though, I mean, the kids that we taught, they had cable.
Yeah.
But what they didn't have was social media.
That's true.
That's the key.
Yeah, I guess it is. Well, it has certainly changed things. Anyhow, are we going to get and tell the audience exactly what we're starting with today?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the long, wonderful, storied tradition of Festivus.
Yes. Well, and
Festivus for the rest of us.
It's been around since I was born.
That's right.
So it had, and I'm old.
And it almost disappeared, but thankfully, roughly 30 years after it began, it was resurrected.
It was resurrected because there was a need,
and it needed to happen.
Well,
and actually, there's two different views of Festivus. There is the Festivus that was created through television, but it turns out, of course, is that it actually has a much older and deeper philosophical.
Well, yeah, because it speaks to the heart of people, and that's that Festivus traditions.
Nothing really warms your heart like looking at the aluminum Festivus pole.
Yes.
And it warms the cockles of your heart.
It does.
It does.
It does. And you don't have to put any ornaments on it. You don't have to spend any money on it. You just put it up and it's there.
And according to the show Seinfeld, it was in fact Frank Costanza who created Festivus. We know this now not to be quite accurate.
That's just.
However, the sentiment is still valid.
Many Christmases ago, I went to buy a doll for my son. I reached for the last one they had, but so did another man. As I rained blows upon him, I realized there had to be another way. What happened to the doll? It was destroyed. But out of that, a new holiday was born. A Festivus for the rest of us.
Yes, Festivus for the rest of us.
Yes.
And Frank, of course, was upset by the commercialism and the crass, just everything about Christmas that has been rendered.
Bye. Well, I will say that I noticed this year for Black Friday, I did not hear the typical stories of, fight at JCPenney's, two women fight. Oh, I didn't read any of those stories. I didn't hear them on the news. It just
why?
It just kind of came and went.
Because they probably happened at the dollar store and they didn't set up at the dollar store.
That's it. We only need to know if you missed the dishes at JCPenney's. We don't.
Three women were fighting over 3 M&M packs for $1 today at the dollar store for Christmas.
Okay, I don't think so. But George's dad really needed something else to lighten his load.
I would like to also point out that the doll that that Frank was buying for his son George was a girl. He said that must have been some doll. She was.
So was he buying the doll for his son, or was he buying it for
No, he was buying for his son.
Oh, okay.
Buying Georgie.
All right. Well,
Georgie.
I don't think our audience is particularly fans of Seinfeld. I mean,
No, probably not. I know kids don't know.
Aren't nice people.
And by the way, if your kid is under 18, chances are they don't even think it's funny. They don't even. They don't even get it.
Yeah.
They look at these episodes and like, I don't understand why it's funny.
But they still like Friends.
But then they'll go watch somebody like dump a bucket of cold tar on their feet, and they go, "Oh, that's hilarious."
What kind of oxymoron is that? Cold tar.
Cold tar.
I don't think it flows.
Coal tar. There we go. Coal tar.
It's just full of crap.
A bucket of crap on their feet.
Get to the point.
Hilarious.
G. What about
what is the
Festivus's tradition?
Oh, well,
this is where we're trying to reach.
Well, first of all, we it's a secular holiday.
It is for everybody.
For everybody. There's no
and they don't celebrate on Christmas Day because that's too busy.
God, no.
That's way too busy.
It has to be celebrated a couple days before. But
3 days.
Traditionally, it can be celebrated really on any day of the year except Christmas.
Oh.
That is
so you don't infringe upon
correct.
the
And you have to separate the two different Festivuses. There's Festivus, the original, which turns out to be started by a father of a writer for Seinfeld. There is actually a Festivus, which is what I thought was amazing. When I went to look this, I was wait, it's a real thing? It is a real thing. Well,
the writer felt he needed to share it.
But then again, I guess everything starts somewhere, right?
Some little family had this odd tradition.
And anyway, in basically, Festivus requires some things. You have to have the Festivus pole, which is made out of high-grade aluminum.
You've already said that.
No decoration,
no decoration
required. High strength to weight ratio.
Like a stripper pole.
Yes, but it's not connected to the ceiling. So no strippers need be decorating the
Does it
pole.
Just magically stand up?
You put a little X on the bottom of it.
Oh, just like a tree.
Like a tree.
But you don't have to water it.
You don't have to. You don't have to water it.
And the cats won't touch it.
And that's the important bit.
Yes. Okay. So your animals will leave it alone.
Yes. And so anyway, you need you have to do the dinner, the traditional Festivus dinner, which is really about as a white dinner as you could possibly imagine. I don't mean the food. I mean the Caucasians, the Caucasian dinner. It is meatloaf on a bed of lettuce.
Oh.
Yeah, you got to have meatloaf on a bed of lettuce. Peas. I would assume macaroni and cheese. I don't know that for a fact.
Well, then don't give us a recipe.
Well, I have. It's hard to tell because you got to look at the table and the table in the show itself. The man, I guess I should just go ahead and say the writer of Seinfeld, Dan O'Keefe, his father started Festivus in 1966.
That's what we needed. O'Keefe. So
and it was the
Irish?
Occasion of the first date of him and his soon-to-be fiance, Daniel, I'm talking about. His dad decided to have a festival, and he called it Festivus. And he was celebrating his son and his daughter, Deborah, celebrating their first date.
Oh, they're okay.
Can you imagine how embarrassing that must have been for his son?
Well, that's kind of what Festivus is all about.
Anyway, throughout the 70s and 80s, Daniel O'Keefe continued to make Festivus an annual tradition among the O'Keefe clan. Festivus has no set date. It can occur at any time of the year and never on Christmas.
That is so scary.
It says that Daniel O'Keefe was inspired by the Samuel Beckett play Craps' Last Tape. That's the name of it, with a K. Craps. It's basically a guy, the protagonist, tapes himself speaking at different times in his life using a tape recorder to record the proceedings, which includes a portion where the family members spoke out about what was bothering them. This is the next step of...
Finally. I never
we're
thought
finally
you'd get there.
Yes.
I have a problem. Just hurry up and get to it.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. You have a grievance, do you?
I do.
Part of the Festivus is the airing of grievances.
The best part.
Welcome, newcomers. The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
There you go. The airing of grievances.
Thank you.
You have to have that part. And basically, everybody at the dinner, you tell each person what it is they've done to disappoint you over the year.
It's like a purge.
It is a purge. It's a mental purge.
And it's necessary. This is the part of Festivus that I think appeals to everybody. One, you don't have to buy a bunch of crap, so it's not costing you a fortune. You get to air your grievances. You don't really have to decorate anything.
Now, you can't bring Festivus to an end until after dinner.
Yes.
And I don't have a clip for that.
And you
but
get that with the Feats of Strength.
The Feats of Strength, which is basically you have to pin the father in order for Festivus to come to an end. There were other traditions that were not included on the television show that even today, the guy who wrote for Seinfeld was like, I have no idea
how it blossomed.
His dad would put a clock in a bag and nail it to the wall. And when the siblings would ask about the meaning, he would say, it's not for you to know.
Time is in the dark.
There were no costumes for Festivus. However, hats are worn. Some of the favorites were a Viking helmet with horns affixed, a brimless Cub Scout cap with tinfoil adornments, or the classic pointy dunce cap. And these were all created by a gang, as he put it, of creative youths.
See, content creators have always existed. They have always been a part.
And most of the Festivi had a theme. One was, is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
No. It's like that clock. It's in the dark.
And another theme was, are you too easily made glad?
No. No.
By the way, the guy that created Festivus was an editor at the Reader's Digest.
Oh, that's awesome. We were talking about that the other day, like the lack of reading materials as you went out into public as a kid, and you didn't have a phone, of course. So, all of our favorites. And
a Festivus for the rest of us was an actual Festivus motto for the O'Keefe family, referring initially to those remaining after the death of my father's mother, and then gradually over time coming to mean a general forward-looking focus on life, i.e., let the dead bury the dead.
Okay, there you go.
So there you go.
I took it to the past and said, all right, where did the word grievance come from? And of course, the first reference in the OED was in 1386.
Whoa.
Was the word grievance, the infliction of wrong or hardship on a person, injury, oppression, a cause or source of injury. I can't actually read the entries. The first one was Chaucer in 1386. That was the very first one.
It's weird. A grievance and then to grieve could not mean something more different.
But I have the state or fact of being oppressed, a circumstance which is felt to be, and then finally later in history we get to a disease, an ailment, or a hurt, and then a displeasure or an indignation. Anyway, so the beginning, the 1300s, I was want to actually be able to read the writing because it was so different. But then finally,
is it Middle English? I can help you with that.
It is Middle English, but I'm not even giving it to you. Keep your mouth shut.
Okay.
To the great and universal grievance of your people, and that was in a volume of Protests of Lords in 1641. So that was really around the first time I could read it easily. By
1641.
1641.
Well, you got King James Bible language there.
Yes, exactly. And now you're the universal grievance of your people, and most of them after that were dealing with it was in Homer, it was in the Pope translated it from something, but it was all in reference to citizens having a grievance, usually with their superiors,
with their lords.
Yes. So that works perfectly because I feel like people air their grievances often now, as they should, because that's the only way to get change. I mean, what was the Declaration of Independence? 27 grievances laid out.
Yep.
To the king saying, you're a damn tyrant, and we're bloody well shitting tired of it.
We're tired of it.
We're just tired of it. So we aired our grievances.
We want to keep our tax money for ourselves.
But look, we did it logically and in print. And
what was Luther's theses?
Exactly.
It was grievances against the church.
Exactly. And did it go well?
It depends on your point of view, I guess.
Well, exactly. So you air your grievances, and then the higher-ups have to decide what they're going to do.
And Erasmus, another Catholic priest, his In Praise of Folly is nothing but
grievances.
It's grievances hidden within a play that's funny.
And then here we have in society right now, of course, in America, the most famous airing of grievances of the moment, which is our Luigi. Yes, Luigi, and he has become an icon.
What is it, a Luigi Mascarpone? Is that it?
Yeah, Mangione.
Mascarpone?
Free Luigi memes. We've got Super Mario Brothers, memes everywhere.
Is he related to Chuck Mangione?
I don't know, but I thought the same thing. I did think the exact same thing. Saturday Night Live did a little skit over the weekend. And
wasn't that song called Feeling Good?
Oh, yeah.
The Mangione song. Wasn't that the name of it, the instrumental?
Feels Good. I think it might have been, yeah.
Well, I guess
So
this
now-
Mangione was not.
He has his theme song.
He
Well,
has a
no, he
grievance.
wasn't. He had a grievance, and it's turned out that most of America has the same grievance.
That is the crazy
And
thing.
that's really where he has touched a nerve, and I think he knew that. Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania said, "Look, vigilante justice. This just has to stop." You know, he's really concerned that the public has taken to this so well, as he should be. He's being cast as a romantic figure now, and
Well, did you see those abs? Oh,
how can so many people consider this man a hero when the rules that govern American society, the laws, are going to be treating him as the complete opposite?
he is a hairy beastie, I guarantee you.
Well, those eyebrows that he was
carefully manicuring them
to
before.
get them done. Oh, absolutely.
But can I, speaking of the airing, do you have something more?
No, I'm just fascinated by this because this really is going.
Because I'm going to go ahead and air a particular grievance
Oh,
of
you have an
mine
individual grievance?
with this thing, and it's the media.
Well, yes.
Actually,
okay.
there's two things in the media that kind of piss me off. But the first one is on the 11th, NBC reported all of his video game playing habits.
As we need to know that.
Well, yeah, because video games make you violent. Don't you know that?
Oh, that's right.
Don't you know? So it says that Among Us is an online multiplayer game rated for players 10 and up based upon its fantasy violence and mild blood.
Well,
So he was playing that.
you'd really just have to ask yourself, why in society are those games so
Well,
popular?
everybody plays this game. Even Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has played Among Us.
Okay.
And this is how popular that game is to me. I've never heard of it until I read this story.
Well, I don't know that playing video games and violent video games necessarily makes you
Everybody knows that violent video games directly lead to murder.
But
Come on.
But I do think
Think about all the people I've murdered and all the violent video games I've played. I think
it does desensitize you, so you don't want to actually hear what your counterparts might be saying.
Well, this is a step towards, again, trying to ban or set ratings. It's ridiculous.
They've already rated them.
Well, they do this every
but they're already
time.
rated. I mean,
after Columbine, what was it? Doom and Quake.
okay, well, it's just going to be the same as gun control then. After we have a violent outburst and a whole school gets shot up, what happens?
Oh, gun control, you said.
Oh, stop it. We're going to do this. And then they don't do a damn thing.
Well, they also now are freaking out about the ghost gun.
Yes, that he
thing.
printed. Like they didn't know that couldn't happen. They've been pulling them out at TSA
Well,
for
now
years.
they want to make a law banning them. Now, here's
How
the
do
thing.
you do that with a 3D printer?
You can't. And the other thing is, it's not like you can put together the whole gun. The parts that make the gun go bang are actually regulated.
Okay.
You can't print the firing mechanism.
Well, look, if we can't take guns out of the hands of people, then, it's not going to do anything.
And so I looked up a story about what we have to get rid of. And one of the things in the 50s they were really worried about was kids could take a .22 and put it in an antenna and mount the antenna onto a piece of wood, and with a rubber band and a nail could make the .22 fire. And they were called zip guns.
Okay, so what you're saying is we're always going to figure out a way.
Exactly. You can't ban it.
Well, no, of course you can't.
And also, can we point out that his gun, he had to clear the jam 3 times.
Yeah, we watched that in the video when we see him shooting the.
And what we're going to find out is this guy is a nut. That's really all we're going to.
All right. However,
he had no personal grievance against this guy.
Against this guy in particular, but he certainly did against the healthcare system. And can we say that perhaps he was pushed over the edge by maybe pharmaceuticals that he was given during
there you go. Maybe
his surgeries?
The healthcare system is not to blame. Perhaps it's the pharmaceutical system.
Bella is about to get desperate. You might want to push the button.
We need to still pause this for just a moment while I'm going to mark it. We're back, and Bella's much better.
Yes, she still has a bit of the mud butt, but
okay, there we go. But anyway, we're talking about his drugs and the pharmaceutical companies possibly being the cause of
his tirade. There's always a tipping point.
Well, we know that he was injured. We know that he had an operation, which means pain medication. And then we don't know a lot other than he moved around. His family has bucks. He's not.
So they would have insurance.
So he has no grievance against the companies personally.
Well, but you hear people, you got people on your social media. You have to know. I mean, he is part of the elite.
I think he was just wanting to be noticed.
Maybe.
And that he has a mental problem.
Well, and if that's the case, and it is just a mental.
Now, what he has done is he's pulled the curtain back.
Well, yes, exactly. He showed you, showed the powers that be how tired America is of that.
That's right. And insurance companies, but insurance companies aren't alone in this. The pharmaceutical industry is also part of the problem as well, and they're wagging the dog. But here's the difference. They have private security.
Well, exactly. And the fact that that's what the police have come out now and said, and I didn't realize that the CEOs of the other insurance companies all already had security.
They all already had private security.
So this is the point we're at. You know what? If you have to do that for your high employees, then that tells you something about your industry.
You know, it also tells you something. I learned that one of the private companies that's helping to protect a lot of these CEOs and stuff, they're Sauron protection.
There is Sauron?
Sauron.
Like the big eye?
Like the Eye of Mordor.
Oh,
Sauron.
God. Well,
there you go.
That's not even a joke. That's just like straight up saying it.
Why not just and of course they probably have a subsidiary named Voldemort.
Good God. Okay. Well, then later they can go, well, see, we tried to tell you.
But anyway, so that guy was definitely airing a grievance.
He did air a grievance, and that always touches a nerve. And it's always, they were surprised. Were you really surprised? You know, people are pushed to the brink right now as far as finances go. We're charged for everything, and everything's gotten more expensive, and they just can't do it. And when you pay hundreds of dollars a month for your insurance, and then you're still left holding the bag for thousands of dollars, what the fuck have I been paying you for all of these years?
All of them.
Oh, it's just enraging.
Look, we had our first accident. I drove from the time I was 16 until I was 60 years old.
Yes, before you had
and never had an accident and didn't have a ticket.
Yes.
Get in one accident, my insurance has gone up at least.
And it wasn't even major. Nobody
and I didn't cause it.
Nobody sued.
Nobody sued, none of them, but my insurance has gone up 20% because of it.
Yes.
That's it. One accident.
In all that time.
In, more than 40 years.
Yes.
That's just insane.
Well, it's enraging.
It is enraging.
You know, things that.
And as soon as that 3D gun I'm printing right over there comes off the printer, that's right. Look out, car insurance people.
Yes, that's it. But that it's always, Americans are just, they're going to start airing their grievances. And they're not all going to be crazy like Luigi.
No.
And maybe he's not actually crazy. Maybe.
No, I saw his reaction when they were bringing him into the police station. He was crazy.
And his social presence and his online.
Part of his problem, probably after looking at him, is like he can hear his own hair growing. Because my Lord,
he's like Wolverine.
He really is.
He's a little Wolverine.
They're gonna bring him out of jail when they finally get to transfer him back to New York. He's gonna look like a Wookiee.
I know. Well, there you go. Okay.
But anyway, so
testosterone rage.
in the tradition of Festivus, I've got a few grievances.
You've got some grievances.
I do have some. Do you have some grievances?
Oh, well, every day.
and now I'm not going to challenge Deb to feats of strength because I think we all know. And
mine is going to be.
She's not pinning me.
Mine is psychological strength. I'm going to get you in the long run.
Hey, no girl pinning me.
I got a long game that'll work.
It's a long game.
Mr. Long.
And but my grievances are not necessarily against individuals, but against society, or really mostly stupidity in the guise of politics and decision making. One of my big ones that came up this past week was ABC News basically bending over and kissing the ring of Donald Trump by agreeing to pay $1 million. He sued them for defamation of character after he went on the show and was questioned by George Stephanopoulos.
So he willingly went on the show. And
George Stephanopoulos made a comment that he had been found liable for rape, which is not exactly correct, but he was talking about the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit.
Yes, and he was found.
He was found guilty of sexual
misconduct.
Okay. He made a mistake in how he worded it, he should have just issued a mea culpa and said, hey, sorry, I didn't mean that. I misspoke. And you issue a retraction to what you said.
And that would have been the end of it.
But Trump filed a lawsuit. Okay, fine. In the old days, ABC would have fought the lawsuit on the grounds that, hey, it was a simple mistake and we made an apology. Mm-hmm. Not anymore. Now, ABC is going to pay $1 million towards his, and I love this, his presidential library.
Oh, well, because of course he's going to get a library. Well, wait, what? He doesn't read. He's already admitted he doesn't read.
Yeah, he has said that.
I find that ironic to have a library named after you.
I wonder if he could sue me for me saying that.
I suppose so. He's not getting much, though.
But anyway, so I already see ABC kissing the ring. Remember, these are supposed to be antagonists to all presidents, not just Republican presidents.
We heard the phrase the other day by somebody in the media, a journalist, who said, we're no longer watchdogs, we're filters.
Right.
So they're filtering what they don't want us to have or don't want to present to us in a truthful manner. Instead, they want to twist it.
And they're not the only ones.
They want to weave it.
Yeah. You've got Bernie Sanders. He hopes to work with Donald Trump on key issues. Bernie Sanders, the socialist.
Well, you know what? Do we not want our politicians to at least
have you seen the things he has said about Donald Trump?
At some point, they have to grow up.
Well, these are my grievances.
Oh,
if you are a person who opposes someone politically, and then they win,
you can't.
That doesn't mean you go, oh, well, I got to bend over and spread them. Well, no.
But you do have to work with them.
No, he doesn't. Bernie Sanders said he's retiring. This is his last term.
Well, then maybe that's why he's doing that.
But you don't go back on what you said.
Okay. Stand by your word.
Well, or don't make that a statement to begin with. Maybe Bernie Sanders thought that all along. Well, then you should have said that as opposed to towing the Democratic line, which was he's going to destroy America.
Well, but when you're in the public eye, you're in the media for so many decades, you're going to say a lot.
All of a sudden.
Oh, you want truth. Well, Donald's being truthful now. I can't bring down food prices.
Oh, well, if Donald's being truthful, let's talk about he said that he didn't know anything about the 2025 project, right? I mean, that's what he said.
Okay. Wait. Now, we have two different truths, prior to election or post-election.
Prior to the election.
Okay, because post-election, Donald is being more truthful.
Well, he is, but the fact is that now he says he did an interview yesterday, and he said, well, some parts of it aren't bad. It's very conservative.
But I won't read it.
But I don't want to read it so I don't form any opinions. But some of it's not. Okay, you can't have it both ways. Either you read it and form your own opinions or don't even talk about it.
Well, no, he'll get people to read it for him.
This is my grievance.
Summarize it. Yes, it is your grievance.
And my grievance is politicians are the ones screwing everything up. Everything.
I thought it was the pharmaceutical. Or wait,
who owns the politicians?
Yeah.
The pharmaceutical industry.
The lobbyists.
Right?
I go back to the lobbyist system. That's my grievance. We need a revamp of that whole system. Ideally, it was just like unions and it was helpful, but it has come to just be a weighty burden on the backs of all taxpayers.
Weighty burden.
A weighty burden.
I like that term.
Thank you.
Weighty burden.
I got a weighty burden for you.
So we had the election day and everybody said, hey, we're going to accept the results of the election, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Trump won. So suddenly that just kind of went away.
Surprisingly.
Well, no, it didn't go away. States across America now have had their people vote in certain things. Now, the legislatures in those states are attempting to overturn the will of the people.
Yes, what the people have voted for. Well, they're trying to circumvent with laws or mandates that. In
Missouri, voters approved abortion protections. Okay. Period. They did. Now, Republicans in Missouri are attempting to reverse what they did, saying that the law was badly written.
The one the people voted on?
The one the people voted on.
Oh, dumb people. Your people are so stupid in Missouri, Glenn. What's going on up there?
I'm not from Missouri anymore. I've been here far longer.
Yeah, but born and raised.
And now you've got voters in a couple of states that voted to expand Medicaid coverage for their citizens. Those Republican governors and lawmakers are trying to figure out how to slow walk it so they can challenge it in court. before it takes effect.
So that, again, the people's will is not done.
Exactly.
Well, then there's your grievance. They work for us.
They do work for us, but they don't seem to know it.
No, they do not. Well, how do we fix that?
And in North Carolina, this is the one that really is crazy. In North Carolina, they voted to replace pretty much everybody at the top of the government and replace them with Democrats. Now the Republican legislature is voting and taking away certain things that those people had, like powers the governor had and the attorney general had.
So really what we've got is a lot of midnight appointments happening before this administration leaves?
Yes.
Okay. And then the incoming administration wants to...
Well, the Democrats who are coming in, what they're going to discover is a lot of their rights or the things they had, the powers that they had as elected officials are going to be gone.
Yes.
Because the Republican majority in the Congress, which will not be a majority after January 20th, they're voting to remove those powers as fast as they possibly can. And they have a supermajority, so even if the governor right now was to veto it, they can still get it done.
Oh, dear.
And so
again, they just are working for themselves.
Yes, they're making sure that they can control things.
Well, and they're using the system, and
they're putting the state election board in the hands of the state auditor, one of the only Republicans to have actually won his election. They also are taking away the authority of the governor to fill vacancies on the state court of appeals and the state Supreme Court, while prohibiting the attorney general from taking legal positions contrary to the legislatures.
I think it's time that the people of this country write another Declaration of Independence. I think we need to air our grievances with this, with our federal and state governments.
The Reverend Rob Stevens, an organizer with Repairers of the Breach and the Poor People's Campaign, is among those who are protesting the moves, saying that North Carolina had voted to end a single-party rule and select the state's officials to lead the incoming government, only to have that destroyed by Republican lawmakers in a process he is calling a betrayal of democracy.
Exactly.
And so this is the kind of stuff going on in states across the country.
The whole country.
Massachusetts, Missouri, North Carolina, Ohio.
So it's a battle between the powers that were elected and the people. Right.
The people in Ohio voted to legalize recreational marijuana. Okay, they voted for it last year.
Oh, so it's been...
You still can't buy it. And now Republicans are passing, they are passed a new bill that will double the tax rate on adult use cannabis and this is, I don't care about, cutting in half the number of plants you can grow in your own home. But doubling the tax means that you're just going to give it back to the criminals. Because people are going to vote.
Because they're going to buy the cheapest.
And what do Republicans always tell us? Let the market work. Let the market work. Well, you're actually undercutting the market.
Yeah, you are.
So you are a hypocrite. Oh, what? A politician who's a hypocrite? Right. That's shocking.
That's a major grievance.
It is a major grievance.
Well, but it does. Nothing gets done and nothing changes. This is the reason that people are eventually going to Luigi on all manner of people in charge.
Well, like the Dutch did against women, especially who worked with the Nazis during World War II. Shave their heads.
Right.
That's what I say. Shave their heads.
Yeah.
We can't take them off like the French. The French just took the shaving of the head to its logical extreme, which is we'll just cut your hair at your neck.
Or we could go back to the airing of grievances in Terminal, like I told you about.
Ooh, that was a good.
That was a good grievance. I do have the text here, but it is graphic.
It's quite graphic.
It's quite graphic.
It's very graphic.
But if you ever want to hear a man getting his penis cut off, Germinal.
Well, not me.
Section 5,
I don't want to hear it.
Section 5, Chapter 6.
That's a classic.
Yeah. Germinal. Oh, I love Germinal. I've read it several times.
That's right, kids. Germinal. It's a kid's book. A man gets his penis cut off.
No, that's minor.
Oh, I'm sorry. He wasn't cut off. Silly me.
Oh, they pulled it off.
Ripped it off, yeah.
And put it on a stick and carried it through town.
Well, now, the French, to be fair, putting things on sticks after being removed is a French tradition.
Yeah, they do.
Usually it's heads.
Well, but that's the point of Germinal.
Well, I guess in this way it was also.
It's all aspects of their society, all levels, showing what happens when you push the citizenry to the brink.
Yes.
When you push them so hard that they can't feed their families, and that is humiliating to a mother and father. And what will they do in order to feed their family?
Well, I think we're going to find out real soon.
Well, it feels that way.
Because
it does feel that way.
As I've said long before Trump has been in office, the president doesn't control inflation.
No.
It's not how it works.
And we knew that, but he finally admitted.
And what's causing inflation, the biggest cause of inflation right now is simply too many dollars in circulation.
Yes, and they continue to print money.
And the only way to stop that is massive cuts across the board in government, which we have put in charge. We've put Musk and Vivek in charge of doing that. But so far, the solutions they've come up with have all been like 0.00000 times 10, 1% to the dollar. It just nothing.
Nothing. A drop in the bucket.
You have to cut entitlements, and that means, of course, Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. And people are going to flip out when you do that.
Yes.
And you have to cut the military at a time when
we should be building.
We've
given it all away.
But here's the problem. The money we've given to the military, what have we gotten for that money, really?
Well, we haven't gotten anything. It's gone to the Ukraine, and it's gone to
No, they
Israel.
borrowed that money. They'll pay it back.
No, they're not going to. Go back to World War I and II. Nobody's paid back jack shit. Nothing's coming back to us.
Even the money, though, that we spent how many billions of dollars on those stupid Navy littoral ships that are all mothballed now?
And they're not doing anything.
They're not even going to use them.
Well, but isn't Elon going to come in, and that's the kind of waste he's going to...
He's going to make a Tesla ship for the Navy?
Yeah, maybe so. All right. But, sometimes when citizens air their grievances, it reduces a problem. It's kind of like a catharsis. It's a cleansing of those. And then the people that you're airing your
like the world
with,
had a grievance against Adolf Hitler.
Exactly. And they cleansed that.
Yes.
So maybe that's what's going to inevitably have to happen.
Well, my worry is that we're going to have a massive money crisis. A recession is what I think. And I don't think it's that far away. Our country's debt has doubled in 9 years.
But
doubled.
When the media keeps telling us how big it is and everything, and nothing actually happens because of it, we don't think anything of it. We're just trying to pay our bills.
Well, but our debt's not going to be fixed by, for instance, tariffs. We have plenty of history that shows us what happens with tariffs.
You've made it abundantly clear that you don't believe that will work the way he seems to think it will work.
Well, it can't unless there's some new way that they're going to implement these things. The other day...
Do you think he took economics at college?
Oh, he probably had an economics course.
We took economics, and we understand what tariffs are going to do.
Look, he threatened again to raise the tariff on Canadian goods by 10% unless they stop the illegal drugs and flow of immigrants across the border.
Are we worried about
This is Canada.
Yeah, we're not worried about Canada.
So I looked it up. Last year, Canada, they intercepted, get this, 45 pounds of fentanyl.
Coming across that border.
Last year.
Well,
compared to Mexico, which was in the neighborhood of 45,000 pounds of fentanyl.
Okay.
Also, if you raise a tariff on Canada, the price of lumber immediately goes up. That is a fast one. That's a fast reaction. Ontario this week, who actually sells electricity across the border to Michigan, New York, and I think Wisconsin. Ontario says, well, you know what? We could just turn off the electricity.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And Trump said, no, they'll never do it.
All right.
And then so Ontario now, other provinces in Canada are like, oh, they're not going to turn off the electricity. And Ontario says, well, if we can't turn off the electricity, we can stop shipping our booze. And I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah, if you take that away from Americans, you definitely will.
Well, I think that's
pushing it, because then we know our grievances. We're not going to be so stupid drunk that we can't think about the grievances.
And the other day, China cut us off from tungsten. They actually said they're not going to allow us to have tungsten.
And?
We announced today that we're putting tariffs on tungsten.
Well, they're just not going to sell it to us. So there'll be no tariff on that aspect. So really the thought is, and I understand because I grew up in the 70s when manufacturing was leaving this country and heading overseas, and the media was constantly in an uproar about that. And I think Donald's belief is, much like in the 70s, that if we just make it so expensive for what's coming in from other countries, we will manufacture here. And that sounds on the surface like it would work.
Oh, by the way, I was mistaken. Not 10%, 25%.
However, it takes a long time to build those industries again. Companies would have to actually invest in infrastructure in this country again that hasn't been here for 30, 40, 50 years. And to do that would take a long time. It would be a large investment. Cost would go up no matter what. Would you eventually bring more jobs and American-made products back to this country? Yes, but we're all dead by then.
But
I mean, we're not feeding our families. We'll starve to death, I guess.
We're talking about, though, attacking a friend. Canada's our friend.
I know. I'm not.
My God.
I'm not worried about
You're going to hit them with a tariff? That's insane.
Canada will be all right.
But still, I mean.
And we don't.
This is the kind of conversation that's happening now with politicians.
Yes.
And it's absolutely insane. We're going to shoot ourselves in the foot with these tariffs because so much of what we have to get from overseas. We don't have it.
Well, maybe we just don't need to let people have guns then, and they won't shoot themselves.
They asked Trump at this interview, well, what are you going to do about oil prices? And he said, drill, baby, drill. Well, it turns out that in America, the oil that we drill for is not used to make gasoline. It's the wrong grade. We get our gasoline oil from overseas, from the oil-producing countries. Our oil is used in industrial applications, but not to make gasoline. So what's the deal?
Grievance.
Okay. The season of grievance.
Take a breath. Everybody take a breath.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
Because you are one person.
I am one person.
And politicians
make me mad.
I know. And we just went and spoke our part and voted our vote.
I did.
And now we just sit back and let the ones that were elected to office do what they do, which is rape, pillage.
I think this year we should probably, the best thing we could do is to make a donation to the Human Fund.
For the Festivus support.
For our Festivus.
Yes, for the Festivus support.
Yes.
I agree. I think that might be the only way to go. Although I have given to several tragedies recently and
Tragedies?
Yes, tragedies.
I'm giving to this tragedy.
It's like, oh, there's a tragedy over there. Let me give some money. Because, the government's not helping, so it can only come from the individual citizens. Again, who are pushed to the brink.
Oh, yeah.
And yet, when I say I'm going to donate $50, I realize that's not a lot, but for me, it's a bit.
It's a lot.
It's a bit.
By the way, the debt that the government has.
Oh, please no.
No, it's the debt that the public has. So people forget that the government's debt and the public debt are two different things. The government's in debt $36 trillion. The public is in debt $28 trillion. But the fun part of that is $28 trillion is 99% of our gross domestic product.
Oh, exactly. Oh, wow. That's us.
So we can't actually do anything.
No. Well, but
because we're only 1% away from 100.
Since 2020, Americans have been living off of credit cards.
Yes.
And the government continued to raise credit card debt or interest rates so that our debt actually increased, and we're still just trying to pedal. We're not even trying to get ahead. We're just trying to dog paddle and stay afloat. That's what I see.
Those cards, they're all looking so pretty. They've been, built just right.
Yes.
That house of cards,
yes.
But it's trembling.
All right. I'll give you two of my grievances.
Go ahead.
Okay. And I'm going to take it to a more relevant,
one of them's not going to be that I interrupt you too much, is it?
Well, that just goes without saying. I shouldn't even have to say that. I tried to do an episode where I told you that psychologists say sometimes you just need to shut up.
No.
That it's better for everybody if people just stop talking.
Those psychologists are stupid.
So my first one is just a minor daily annoyance that is terrifying to me every second I'm out of my home the road, which is stay in your own damn lane.
Oh, other people.
There's so much veering now, so much drifting and veering into other lanes.
That is a good grievance.
Pay the hell attention to the road. You're in a deadly machine.
You're in a box.
And I don't want to die because you didn't stay in your lane.
That's why I stopped riding a motorcycle, actually.
Yes.
Because people weren't staying in their lane anymore.
And it's gotten so pronounced in the last 2 decades. It's ridiculous now.
Which is weird because cars now have the ability to keep you in your lane.
They tell you, yes. People don't do it. It's terrible.
Clearly.
Okay, so stay in your lane. The second one stems from my recent attempts at shopping lately.
Oh, do tell.
So it seems to be common. I thought it was just the first store I went to. The first store was a Home Goods / TJ Maxx. TJ Maxx side seemed to be okay. People were moving around easily.
What's the difference?
The TJ Maxx side is clothing and shoes and purses and jewelry and makeup and all that. The other side, the Home Goods side, first they have overstocked the entire store. There's so much merchandise in there that you can't make a choice, even if you could shop.
Well, they had to overstock, Deb. The weather outside is frightful, and
Okay, I'm just going to go on.
Okay.
So much product, you can't walk around the store. That's the first thing. And again, giving people more choices doesn't necessarily make it easier. That's the problem with internet shopping. There's so many choices, it's hard to decide. If you're in a store, I can't waste all my time doing this. So I need to be able to decide.
I thought that's what you liked about shopping.
On a normal level, right now we are at an accelerated rate. There are employees all over the store stocking, which means they have shopping carts out next to them. They're not moving because they're stocking shelves, but we can't shop and move around. I felt like I was being stalked by one guy. I didn't even realize he worked for the store until about 20 minutes in, and he just kept showing up on my aisle, and he was just like bringing stuff from the front that didn't get bought back.
Or it was returned.
And putting it up. So it's constant, and you can't move. You can't go down an aisle. You circle 3 times waiting for somebody else to get off the aisle. It's enraging.
So what you're saying is somebody needs to pay the ultimate price.
Well, we need to find a balance. Stock at night. Why aren't you paying people to come overnight during the holiday season? From just before Thanksgiving to January 1st, they need to have a little extra labor, and they need to come overnight and stock the shelves so they're not in everybody's way. I bought one thing in TJ Maxx after an hour and a half.
What'd you get me?
I didn't buy you anything. I didn't buy you anything. I just bought you a refrigerator, so that the price doesn't go up in January with the tariffs.
On January 20th.
I'm buying everything I can think of.
That's right. All the big electronics.
We got to have a
If you need a PlayStation, get it now.
Get it now. We're having to have a little build done, and it's the lumber. Please, God, buy it before January 1st, before all that goes into action.
No doubt.
Or January 7th, or whatever hell day is.
Because that's going to help prices go right back up again.
Last grievance that
inflation.
I think is relevant is why do we have to have a multi-million-dollar inauguration party?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know why we've ever needed that.
I don't know either.
I'm looking for the president who says, I don't need a damn party.
Well, if we're going to have a party, let's have it like Andrew Jackson's party, man, where it's just like kegs of beer on the front lawn of the White House, and everybody invited.
Shows up. Oh, you can't get close to the White House lawn anymore.
That's what would make it fun.
It was the 80s the last time you could actually walk on the White House lawn.
I just thought of something.
I remember that. I went to D.C. We walked on the lawn.
Well, you could.
Yeah, now it's all blocked off.
Yeah, they're all worried and stuff.
People running into
people are going to try to kill the president. Come on. Like that's ever happened.
Airing of grievances, G.
What if the kid that shot the guy, what if he knows somebody who's just not direct and said something general, just said like, he really needs
someone rid me of this
yeah, it's like
troublesome priest.
Exactly. Like maybe somebody said something like, maybe he needs to be removed from the board.
Well, that's what I was saying. Maybe it's not necessarily his dealings with the healthcare industry.
He needs to be shown
somebody in his family. Maybe
the error of his ways.
Maybe he has a Mimi or a Mama who had to go and suffer through all that. People know people.
Perhaps he should be evaluated.
He will be. He's going to be evaluated. He's going to be inspected.
Oh, yeah. And injected and everything
All right.
else.
Is it time? We've aired some grievances. We're not going to have...
I got so many grievances,
but we're not going to have Feats of Strength. And and we can't continue to bring our audience down because they're living with this. They know all these things.
And the Christmas stuff is, like... Christmas is awesome for family and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think that the commercialism of it, I really do think Festivus might be a better solution.
Well, I agree. Or like I said, recently I think that maybe we all just need to share our bills with our loved ones and everybody pay one bill for somebody.
Ooh.
You know, in a range like this family, can we do $100 bill? Everybody share a $100 bill that you have, maybe electric or water. I don't know. And somebody pick that up for
water,
you, or water or something. Well, for most people, my water bill's not that high, but you know,
perfect gift
but
price.
But you see, and that would be helpful. That could help people move forward. Then they could buy something for their children. I want to go out on whether or not Santa's an elf.
Actually, that was a question I'd heard the other day somewhere,
and it turned into an argument. Actually,
well, because
we can't do anything without fighting about it.
Well, that, and it was what is Mrs. Claus's first name?
Okay, well, first, my thing back to the beginning, which was what started me on all of this airing of grievances. And it started with just the elf on a shelf, Frisbee, right? So he comes around in 2005 is when he actually entered the market in America. But he was started in 1974 by the creator, Carol Abersold.
Mm-hmm.
She received, Abersold. She received one as a child, and so that was just a minor thing. It was more like an ornament back then. They didn't really do a whole lot with it, a little bit of a family tradition. And decades later, she and her daughter and her sisters, I think, all put together a little Elf on a Shelf Christmas tradition book. She tried to get it marketed through, publishing houses, and everybody refused it. So finally, she and her daughter just self-published it because by 2005 that was something entirely doable. Now we're looking at 17.5 million scout elves is what they're called. They're called scout elves. Scout elves go out and scout, but they can't speak to people. People who have children now know all of the rules that go along with it. There are a number of things that go.
I could not tell you a single rule.
I have it here, but you know what? Most of our listeners are young people and they have families and young kids. So they're doing the Elf on a Shelf. That's a sweet little memory.
If I see a little elf running through my house, I'm going to stomp on him. I just want you to know.
Oh, and they are adopted. They are not bought. You don't buy an Elf on a Shelf.
Well, of course not. Slavery is over.
Exactly. Well, that leads to the Santa thing then, right? Because so Elf on a Shelf really took off when was it Jennifer Love Hewitt, I think, was seen in public with a box under her arm, and then all of a sudden, it was on TV, and it just took off from there. The Today Show, I think, is kind of the one who pushed it, which is wonderful for that lady and her family. It's not Mattel. It's not a big corporation.
I'm not a big fan of all these new traditions, really.
Well, but why not?
I don't know. Just something about them just irritates me.
You want to keep.
Grievance.
You want to keep. You want to keep Festivus, but you want to let Elf on a Shelf go.
Well,
Festivus isn't for the kids, really.
Well, you've got that, and what's another one? There's some of these newer Christmas traditions. I was trying to think. Besides Elf on a Shelf, there's a couple others.
Well, sure,
and that are.
It's the ones that are just created for marketing that I dislike.
That's what I dislike.
This lady was sharing a sweet little story and a little. I mean, this was. I feel good about this one. I don't feel like it's the greeting card industry, trying to screw us.
So is he an elf?
He is an elf. Santa, Norse mythology, of course, is the idea of where elves came from. The Norse called their elves Alfar, and they were believed to cause illness and have very strong magic, but yet they were gorgeous. They were beautiful.
Oh, yes. I think we all know elves from
and then of course we blame Tolkien for the actual view of elves that we share today for the most part, but in A Night Before Christmas, he had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly.
Oh, they call him an elf.
He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. So then that just takes off, and they want to know on social media, then Santa's an elf. He's not an elf. He is in charge of elves, therefore he can't be an elf.
Well, that's not true.
Some believe that the magic led him. He was an elf, and then when he became the senior elf, he turned into Saint Nick.
Because, we all have bosses. They're humans as far as I know.
And that some people are just like, no, he's human.
Well,
he's just human.
The argument I was listening to that was the name of Mrs. Claus.
Okay.
And it's very simple. All you have to do is watch Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yes.
Her name was Jessica.
Oh, her first name.
His name is Chris. Her name is Jessica.
I thought his name was Saint.
No, it's Chris. He becomes a saint later. And that's all you need to know. And what I love is somebody said, "Oh, her name is Gertrude." I'm like, no. Rankin Bass, the creators of Santa Claus Has Come to Town.
My problem with that, of course, is that that's not the actual heritage. So there's no way her name would have been Jessica.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, you can live with that.
Actually, the oldest example, I thought this was interesting.
Claus.
First of all, it's she was first mentioned, the Mrs. Claus, in a book in 1849 called The Mysteries of City Life. And it was about a variety of traditions. And he gave her the name Gertrude.
Okay. Well,
so that was the first one.
You're Jessica.
Well,
because the poem is 1823.
And yeah, so it turns out Mrs. Claus has a wide variety of names. It was actually kind of stunning. I didn't realize. Besides Gertrude,
are they all the same woman?
She looks the same in all of these.
Yeah, but if she has a different name in all of them, then I'd have to start questioning. Well, I mean, some people accuse him of being an animal abuser and
I want to know if she's shooting out elves.
Child labor. Child labor. We're abusing these kids. We're these little elves. He's overworking them. He's abusing the reindeer.
He won't let them be who they want to be. Like, for instance, a dentist.
Yes. And
that's just not right. And we saw how he treated Rudolph. Can we just agree that Santa Claus is kind of, I don't know if it's racism when a reindeer's nose lights up, but you shouldn't minimize them as a reindeer.
Probably not.
And he did. He was like, "Oh, ho, ho, you can't drive my sleigh, you freak." And
well, we all saw that in Rudolph.
Exactly.
It was terrible bullying. Terrible.
But then when Santa can't go out and deliver toys because it's too stormy, he's scared. He's literally frightened to go out during a storm. Rudolph's nose suddenly is like, "Hey, you freak, come here. I have an idea." And quickly puts him in front of all the other reindeer, not in the crew, but literally in the front. And that's just wrong. It's wrong.
It is wrong. It is. Okay. Well, that I don't think we solved a damn thing.
And many of Santa Claus, many names or many books about Santa Claus, his wife is just referred to as Goody.
Oh, like
good wife.
Good wife. I keep saying that. Why is it Goody Proctor? Why is it Goody Nurse? And they can't get over the idea that Goody Nurse is not. They're not nurses. Her husband, Francis Nurse.
So did she have children, or are the elves her children?
Well, good wife just means wife. It doesn't necessarily mean you had babies.
And if she's popping out them babies, how long do elves gestate? I have so many questions.
All right. Well, that's a grievance you can share.
That's not a grievance. That's just a curiosity.
You sound angry about it.
I'm not angry about her having babies.
The not knowing.
Oh, well, because I like to know everything.
Yeah, well, get over that.
Yeah, no, I don't get that.
Just get over that, sir.
I'm trying.
All right, so
it's really hard to do.
I think, you know what? I'm sitting here trying to read this whole.
No, we really ought to just wrap it up.
You should.
Because I got pork chops smothered
pork chops,
and
applesauce
and rice. No applesauce. Sorry, but
I have some pears.
Rice.
I have some pears. I have some rice.
I don't.
Some 4-H rice.
I don't need to eat pears.
It's the rice I bought at the 4-H.
You know what? I'm having gravy. That's the fruit.
All right. You're gonna. Oh. It'll be Christmas will have come and gone by the time we come back.
Will it?
I think so.
Are you sure?
No, I am not.
Actually, I thought
it's the 15th. So next Wednesday is Christmas.
So we have to record another podcast before Christmas?
No.
Because we do it on Sundays.
After the 29th.
For those people confused, it is currently December 15th.
Sunday.
Right now, this moment.
Yes.
But you will
and the
hear
podcast
this
will
on
come
the
out
18th.
Wednesday. And then the next one doesn't happen until the 29th. So the next one will have to be in New Year's.
Okay.
No grievances. We'll wrap up
We will
the
have
year.
had Christmas.
Yes.
So we'll have new grievances, obviously.
No. We'll wrap up the year with all of the fun and joy.
Oh, you know what? The night before our next podcast is New Year's Eve. So people are going to have hangovers. So we should just make it really noisy
loud,
and just
aggressive
and
like metal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of drum hits.
All right.
Oh, absolutely.
Folks.
Record it like overmodulated.
I hope you enjoy whatever Christmas traditions you do. We're not overly traditional people, as the last podcast told you.
No, we're
not tradition. We're traditionally non-traditional.
Exactly. We're traditionally non-traditional.
But that turns into your own traditions.
It does.
Whatever you do for you and your family, I hope you have a wonderful holiday.
And I hope your
Merry
kids
Christmas.
have a wonderful Christmas morning.
Try not to air your grievances on Christmas Day.
No, you wait and you air your grievances with your relatives before you eat. After you eat,
Feats of Strength.
Feats of Strength.
And Dad has to be taken.
And you have to pin Dad.
Well, that's when he's full, so he's going to be sluggish.
Right.
Yeah.
That helps.
Perfect time to do that.
It really is.
Well, everybody's got their joy. It's in a sack. It's not hanging on the wall like a clock. So you need to carry your joy with you.
It's portable, I hear.
It is. Bring it to everybody's house you go to and have a wonderful holiday.
Yep. Have a wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.